Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Sports, and it's our Lions pregame. They are playing the Bears this week. Even though we are decimated with injuries, we are still favored in the game. Right now, we're favored by 6.5 points. Have a total of a 71% chance, 72% chance to win. I think your offense can carry you enough to get the win. But it is not going to be necessarily easy for them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I expect them to buckle down, and they understand this is adversity right now, and they need it going into the playoffs. They've had a pretty easy road up to a certain point. Injuries have decimated their defense, but they really haven't had much of a problem up until the Buffalo Bills. And so now they're facing a little adversity, and they kind of need that before going into the playoffs. I think it's
You
good
do.
for them. I think they'll win. I think they'll win this game pretty handily. Um,
Well,
Weather isn't supposed to be too bad.
31 degrees and sunny.
Yeah.
So
So
not like it's a bad day. Brian Branch and Graham Glasgow did have injuries last week during the game. They've been nursing them this week, so they have been questionable throughout practice, limited practice time.
right.
So, but I think they're both still expected to end up playing this week despite their injuries. And then Iffy started his practice window, so he might be ready before the playoffs, along with Anzalone. He should be starting his practice window soon too, to get him ready for the playoffs as well.
Right.
So you're slowly going to get some defensive pieces back that would have been starters throughout most of the year, which is good. It's still just going to be iffy. I think your next two games you are favored still in your remaining games, all three of them. But problem is again injuries that kind of caught up to you a little bit, and now there's some worry. But I think Gibbs can handle the majority. They're planning on giving him like 40 snaps a game.
I don't even think you need to overwork him. I mean, I think Craig Reynolds is a good
And you
backup,
got Vaki,
and you got Vaki.
who's supposed to be
Uh,
something.
so yeah, I give them the. I don't think you need to wear out Gibbs during this absence. I mean, I really don't want him to do that. Let Craig Reynolds do what he's supposed to do. And I think he's good enough to at least go up against Chicago. Uh, and I have no, like I said, there's nothing you can do about the defense. Aaron Glenn's just going to have to work at what he worked so far. He's been magical
Mm-hmm.
as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the Bills are awesome. They do that against a healthy defense. So I mean, I'm not too upset by that. We'll see what happens. Caleb Williams is mobile.
Somewhat.
Somewhat, not as much as I thought he was, but if he makes mistakes throughout the whole game. So let's hope. I think we could make a few stops, and I think that we have a good enough offense that we should be able to carry us over this team.
He's almost gotten to 300 yards so far in the year. He's at 2,937. So he's probably going to eclipse 3,000 against us unless we fully shut him down, which I don't think is going to happen. He's 17 TDs to 5 interceptions. Really isn't that bad of a ratio. But, I mean, it is his rookie year, and he's going to keep on moving. Running wise, we know they have DeAndre Swift, so we'll see how that goes. If you can stop Swift, really, as long as you can stop the rushing game of Chicago, you stop Chicago.
One thing is they're going to be very aggressive. They have nothing to lose, so they're going to go for it a lot on fourth down when they need to.
Probably.
I think, like I said, everything's going
to. It is a week where we are kind of not only watching the last few weeks, we're watching other games going on around the league. We're going to be paying attention to that Minnesota game. You're going to be paying attention to the Eagles game against the Commanders to see where we still sit. Because this week could get the Lions a little bit of cushion, depending on all what happens. Vikings could very well lose to the Seahawks, and Eagles could very well lose to the Commanders. They both could very well beat their opponents. So you got to keep winning so you can keep pace, keep that hope for a number one seed. Though, as I mentioned in last week's division breakdown, the one seed might not be what you want to do, because it'd probably be preferred for you to go play the Commanders in the first game of the playoffs, and then go play the Bucks potentially in the second game of the playoffs.
Right.
potentially. You might have
I,
an easy the
I
2 seed might be an easier path for you than the 1 seed because you might end up facing more of a division opponent
it may be.
over that.
I just like I said, I'd like to have. Uh, I wish it's not going to happen though. I wish we could have this all sewn up by the final game so we could rest more players. Rest is what this team needs. Having
Which
a
is
week
why
off,
we want that bye week.
having a bye, it would be very helpful. But you know what? It's out of our control for the most part. Whatever happens, happens. They're going to give everything they got, and that's all you can ask. Don't think the Lions are going to lay down at all or anything like that. Um, but you can only control so much, and with all these injuries, it's going to be tough. Um, but I think they'll end up with at least 13 wins, possibly 14. If that's not enough to do it, then that's not enough to win the division. Then that's just the way it is, and we'll be a wild card or something, and that's fine.
Like I said, we're still favored by 7.5. Right now, there isn't really much outside of that. We beat them the last time. I think we've won at least 4 or 5 straight meetings against the Bears. I believe we won both games last year. We won the game this year. I think we're about to go on our 4th
Right.
straight, at least 4th or 5th straight game where we possibly win. I mean, and we've had that streak against all our division opponents. You're going for a 5-0 record with beating the Bears on Sunday
Right.
in the division, which would be pretty good. I don't think anyone thought we would sweep the division this year, and it's still kind of on the table, but we'll see what happens with the injuries because Minnesota is still a very good team. Minnesota's kind of getting tired of the Lions talk, but the Lions have been the cream of the crop this year. They've
Yep.
been doing the best they can, and
Hey,
they've been
like
number one. And I get the Vikings are tied with the same record, but there's a lot more that goes on with the Lions than the Vikings. So,
right.
but right now we're hoping for a win this week. I think the Lions can still win. I just don't think it's going to be um too much of a blowout because of the cold, because of the David Montgomery injury. He is trying to come back during this season. He's getting a third evaluation to see if there's at any point could he come back, because I mean he didn't really struggle too much at the end of the game last week with a sprained MCL.
Mm-hmm.
So there's hope that he can come back. He's not been put on IR yet. Um, and hopefully, I mean, if he can come back if he can come back for the playoffs, take 3 weeks off, come back for the playoffs, that's great.
It is.
If that's what they can do. But score prediction before we fully wrap this up, I'm gonna go with the Lions. They've been averaging 30 points for the past few weeks, so I think I'm gonna go stick in the 30-point range. For them, I'm going to go with a nice 33 to 21.
Oh, I'm going to say 31-14. I think
Hmm.
I think should be a fairly. I hate to say easy victory because it probably won't be, but
I
certainly.
think they realize what they need to do, and they're just
Yep.
going to score as much as they can. Goff is going to be throwing it a lot more. You saw that against the Bills,
Which isn't good.
which he was just throwing it out, but he was throwing it well against the Bills.
Yeah, but when he throws for that many yards, we sometimes don't win. We like Goff to be somewhere in the 250 to 300 range, and our rushing yardage to be in the 150 to 200 range.
But that ain't going to happen without Montgomery.
You don't know that. Craig Reynolds is perfectly capable of doing that if they can do it.
But
and I hope that, like I said, they reestablish their run game.
Gibbs can take care of business, though.
I like you said, Baki. I'd like to see what this kid can do.
They're probably going to rotate between Craig Reynolds and Baki in more like short yard situations.
Right.
And
see what he can do.
Because obviously Vaki plays more defense, so he probably has a little bit more power in them legs.
Is he special teams?
He's a safety and special teams mostly, but they've been mostly having him on special teams this year. But he's a running back and he's a safety, so I mean he's going to be able to plow through some people. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in
multi-purpose guy.
But with all that being said, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think is going to happen in this game. And until next time, see everybody soon.